The land was dry, so dry that even the wind seemed thirsty. There had been no rain for months. Rivers had vanished into dust. The trees stood still, their leaves curled and silent. The animals had long stopped crying for water, and the people, they barely had tears left to cry. In a small village near Zarephath lived a widow. Her eyes were sunken, not just from hunger, but from sorrow. Her little boy, barely 8 years old, clung to her side, his cheeks hollow, his lips dry. They hadn't eaten properly in days. That morning, the woman stepped out of her clay house to gather sticks, just enough to make a fire for one last meal. That was all she had, a handful of flour, a little oil, one final piece of bread. She'd make it, feed her son, and wait for the end. She tried not to cry, but her hands trembled as she picked up the twigs. Suddenly, a man appeared at the gate of the village. Dust clung to his robe, his beard thick. He traveled far. He was Elijah, the prophet of God. He had walked through the wilderness, guided only by a voice from heaven. He saw the woman and said gently, "Please, bring me some water in a jar so I may drink." The widow looked up, startled. A stranger here? In this drought? But something in his voice, something calm, made her nod. She turned to go fetch him water. Then Elijah added, "And bring me a piece of bread, please." She stopped in her tracks. "Bread? Bread?" She turned, eyes brimming. "As the Lord your God lives," she said with a trembling voice, "I have no bread. Only a handful of flour in a jar and a little oil in a jug. I'm gathering a few sticks to go in and prepare it for me and my son, so we may eat it and die." Her voice cracked on the last word, but Elijah's face remained kind. His eyes didn't flinch. "Do not be afraid," he said softly. "Go and do as you've said, but make me a small cake from it first. Then make some for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord God of Israel says, the jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry, until the day the Lord sends rain on the land." The woman froze. Could it be true? Could there be hope in this impossible moment? She looked at her son, then at the prophet, then back at the little flour jar inside her house, and she chose to believe. With silent faith, she went in, stirred the last of the flour into water, poured the last drops of oil, shaped the bread with weary fingers, and placed it on the fire. She gave the first bread to Elijah. He smiled and blessed her. Then she turned to the jar and gasped. There was still flour, and when she tilted the jug, oil flowed again. Day after day, the miracle continued. Every morning she woke up expecting emptiness, but every morning the jar had flour, the jug had oil. The widow, once counting down her final hours, now counted blessing. She didn't just survive, she lived. Her son laughed again. Her heart, once cracked and dry like the land, was full again with faith. Because sometimes, when you give your last to God, you find that He gives you more than you could ever imagine. Don't leave without subscribing to the channel, because the next story is going to be even more mysterious and thrilling. Stay ready.